welcome to yet another episode of Conversations with Iyobosa. Now, whenever the topic move back to Nigeria is broached, we always have two camps of Nigerians with opinions, and there's never an in-between. There's camp A, who will swear for you, give you side eye, raise eyebrows, and then there's camp B, who will tell you, but you know what? Yes, it does make sense because Nigerians are the only ones who have a vested interest in seeing Nigeria flourish. So of course, why not? So on today's show, we're going to be meeting and having a conversation with an accomplished individual who did just that. Back in 2009, shortly after obtaining his MBA, got some work experience, he decided to relocate back to Nigeria with his then new family. He started off his career here in the US with the General Electric Company, also known as GE, as an associate in the Experienced Commercial Leadership Program. And after a series of promotions, well, what I really call a show of hard work, grit, and stellar work performance, he is now President, GE Nigeria, as well as MD of the Gas Power Systems covering Anglophone West Africa. Join me in welcoming Mohammed Mijindadi to the show. Really glad you could be here today.
Hey, glad to be here. So I'm guessing if this was a studio audience, this is where we'll be like, hey.
So yeah, just pretend, But the viewers are there, it's really excited about you.
No, it's a pleasure. Really happy to be here, and looking forward to the dialogue.
Yes. Thank you. I'm Baraka the Salah, by the way.
Yes, same to you. For everyone who's celebrating, this is a special time of the year. This is actually the one that we eat the ram. So if you haven't, make sure you reach out to your friends and get the package.
And viewers, we may not necessarily show this on or around Salah, but you know what? We're always in the spirit of it in the season. So hey, we'll still collect the blessings. So Mo, Thank you for joining us. Now, I'm going to throw you under the bus a bit now, because I'm going to ask you, what is a typical day in the life of President of GE in Nigeria? Because anytime I follow you on LinkedIn, right? And it just always seems you're in some high-powered meetings with like high-powered dignitaries, notable people. And I'm like, I want to be like you when I grow up, So what is a typical day in the life of, actually, before I ask this question, I want to ask you a trivia question. So there are two trivia questions. I'll ask one now and ask one in the end. Are you up for it?
Cool, let's go.
Okay. This one's hard though. This one is hard. I'm just letting you know. So if Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Steven Seagal were to be put in a ring to say, okay, you guys fight, who do you think will win? This one is hard.
Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal, and Van Damme. I think this is a process of elimination. First of all, the question is a blasphemy to anyone who is really in the martial arts world. You can't compare Bruce Lee with any of those guys, bar none. So let's take Bruce Lee out of the equation. I don't think he's anybody's mate there. So Bruce Lee will be an easy first. And again, I guess the decision would be just based on the craft, his speed. And that's a legend, Bruce Lee. So we're not touching that. You have Chuck Norris, you have Van Damme, and you have Steven Seagal. I think maybe the top on that list most likely will be Steven Seagal. I think as much as they are all actors, I think he studied Aikido or practices Aikido, which is also a very formidable art. So I will say in the ranking that you have, Bruce Lee would be their father, is not to be compared. Steven Seagal will be maybe a good second, and then it can be a toss-up between Chuck Norris and Van Damme. That would be my take.
You know what happened? It's funny you say this because I think I brought this up. I think I was asking my sister, I was like, you put these 4 people. And she almost plugged me. She said, wait, you mean you're putting Bruce Lee in this mix? Like, how? He doesn't even feature in this stuff. Like, he's the grandfather. Like, how do you even do this? She just like walked off. I'm like, whoa.
Yes. We need to get you to go back and get reoriented. Bruce Lee is is the Don. You're not putting him in competition with any of those guys. That's an
Thank you for
interesting
that.
one.
Okay, this will just segue into the seriousness of the show. That's so funny. Okay, so walk us through a typical day in the life of Mo as president of GE. I know there may be no typical day. This is why I said
Yes.
I'm throwing on the bus.
And that's the trick. That's the trick question. So there really is no typical day. But thanks a lot again for having me and for your viewers. So I guess maybe first and foremost, I'll just talk a little bit about GE and what we do for people who probably don't know. I would hope there aren't too many people who don't, but GE is a really large American multinational company, over $100 billion in annual revenue. I guess our market cap. We've gone through various phases over the couple years. You know, at some point we were in almost every industry that existed. In recent times, we've narrowed down into, I'll say, 3 major industries. So aviation, healthcare, and power. We're in over 150 countries, you know, doing a lot of work just across the entire sector, you know. So like you had mentioned, you know, we are in Africa. We've been in Africa for well over 100 years, you know, and pretty much work very closely with both state and federal governments in just trying to execute a lot of infrastructure deliverables that they have. So with my mandate, I really don't have a typical day, you know. I mean, we do quite a lot. In Nigeria specifically, we own about 85% of the thermal generating capacity, which basically means more than likely, if you're having power from the electricity grid, more than likely it's being powered by a GE turbine. So our work includes selling, it includes servicing, it includes just making sure that at least for the assets that we have, you know, things are up and running. On the healthcare space, we're basically supporting almost every primary healthcare facility. We manufacture X-rays, CT scanners, most of everything that you need to kind of move, you know. In the aviation space, we do a lot with aircraft engines and servicing engines. So even though this is not a lot in Nigeria, we still have a lot of interface. So a typical day for me is basically just managing our over 300 employees across 3 different office locations.
Right.
There's a lot of hand-holding that has to happen with regards to like new employees that are coming in, with mentoring. But Nigeria is the gift that keeps giving, right? There's always never a boring day, you know. So be it, you know, ensuring that our customers are happy and, you know, they're getting the services that they need, to looking for brand new opportunities. You know, it's a whirlwind of stuff. So I start out my day on a personal note. I'm a health person, so apart from like my prayers and stuff, I'll probably do a quick run and go into the office. I like spending time with our employees and a lot of the staff, you know, just checking in on people and seeing how their days are going. Apart from my mandate managing Nigeria, I also have a regional portfolio. So there's a lot of calls when I'm not traveling, visiting customers just to check up and see how the team is going, you know. But at the end of the day, I like to spend time with my family. You know, I have 3 kids, a lovely wife. I try to catch a movie with my wife. We do a lot of series binging. So at night, I try to watch at least one series.
Right. Okay.
And when I'm not doing that, I also spend time with my dogs. But in all honesty, there's never the same thing that happens every day. There's always something to look forward to, be it on the personal or professional side. And I think I've been blessed to just at least have a job that I love, in a country that I love, with family that is very supportive, just trying to make a difference every day.
Right. So let's touch on trying to make a difference every day in the context of on your capacity as president of GE, as well as on an individual level. So let's touch on CSR, right? So your corporate social responsibility. Now, viewers, for those of you who maybe this is a new term, or you're just hearing this for the first time, businesses or companies that practice CSR aim to improve their communities, the economy, and or the environment by embracing eco-consciousness, promoting equality and diversity in the workforce, giving back to the community in which they serve. And this is by no means an exhaustive list. CSR, for it to work and be effective, needs to be integrated into the corporate culture for authenticity. It can't be haphazardly done. So in other words, you can't say, oh, you know what? I don't think we've done CSR all year. Let's go at Christmas time. let's go and visit the orphanages. That's not how it works. It needs to be continuous and it needs to be constant. So tell us, give us, maybe spend some 2 minutes or so telling us about GE Nigeria's CSR initiatives, as well as you, from an individual standpoint, your individual social responsibility, what I call ISR.
Yeah. So I think from a CSR standpoint, a lot of companies actually do preach and try to push these things forward. Personally, I don't think we're doing as much as I would like. There is such a large need in the country. There's a large disparity between the people that have and people that do not have.
Mm-hmm.
What we try to do in GE is at least ensure that for all the places that we have projects running, we try to touch in at least some community engagement. So either it's hiring locals from that community to be able to support in the project execution, since they're going to be their immediate benefactor. But then we go out and we actually do some other stuff. So during the crisis in Borno, and even though that's still going, we stepped in and supported a lot. We had worked very closely with the government, the state governor at that time. Apart from cash donations that we had given, we had also donated a lot of materials on the healthcare side to support some healthcare activities that they were having. There are lots of schools within the southeast side of the country where we do a lot of power generation projects. So there are a few schools that we've built. But like I said, these are a few things that we do, but they're just a tip of the iceberg. What we try to do is we try to also imbibe some sort of a culture within our employees on just the art of giving back. Right. So for most of the interns who come into the company, we always have, a part of their evaluation is for them to pick an initiative that they can do collectively as a group. Okay. Most of the time, they either partner with schools and either go out to teach or go out to contribute money to kind of buy school supplies and stuff. But we do it in such a way that people understand that, beyond just earning from a community, it's important to look back, reach out, and also try to pick someone up. So that's what we do. Okay. On an individual level, myself and my wife, we own a charity. It's called Kid for Kids. And what we try to do is we partner with a lot of communities around just where we live. We have different initiatives. We have school drives where we pay for tuition for a lot of kids in the primary school level. We do a lot of swaps. So we reach out to most of our colleagues and communities around. People donate used clothing, of which we turn back to give it back to our communities around us. Mm-hmm. But again, like I said, beyond what's happening on the corporate side, on the individual side, there is a pressing need. There are so many people. There's not enough efforts to go through. When we had the insurgency up north, there were a lot of IDP camps that were set up, in internally displaced people camps. We've worked a lot with a few of these, providing borehole waters, but again, there's always something to do. So what I'll say to your viewers, even if these are guys who are not based in Nigeria, for every opportunity that you have to either join a cause, donate to a cause, please do it. There's something fulfilling about doing something beyond your average activity, just reaching back. There are a lot of people in need. There's so many things that can be done. Like I said, if you can't give money, you can look for a cause to participate in. If you can't participate in a cause, you can volunteer. There's so many things that you can do to reach out. So again, that's a snippet of what we do from GE standpoint on the corporate side, what I do on my end from an individual standpoint, but a lot for people to kind of get back and get involved. Nigeria is home for us, and it doesn't have to be Nigeria. Even around your communities, it's very important to find something to be engaged in.
And I'm happy you said that, Mo. The fact that, because some people will say, well, it's easy for you, Iyobosa, to sit, here in the US and talk about Nigeria. You're not here on ground. But then I tell them, well, I don't necessarily have to be there, right? There are Nigerians, there are tons of Nigerians, right-standing Nigerians who are impacting their communities there in Nigeria. But guess what? There are also right-standing Nigerians here in the diaspora who are contributing their own fair share in one form, way, or fashion, just like you've elaborated, right? And the key is to just do it, because small, right? Bit by bit, if one person starts and then 10 people, we start to make a difference, right? Yeah. Rather than all of us just kind of sitting down, folding our arms and not caring about the country. We can't let it is our country. We are the ones that have vested interest in it. So no, it's laudable work what you guys do, both GE, as a company, and then even you in your capacity, your family. It's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks. And it's a lot of people. Again, like I said, a lot of people in the diaspora community, they get involved. So I mean, I know several people who are doing some really great work, and I think the more of us that are
Fantastic work.
doing,
Really fantastic work. Yeah.
different.
I'm planning to, find them and bring them on my show. That's my number one goal for this show. It's just
Awesome.
showcasing Nigerians who are, again, like I said, right standing.
Awesome.
Okay. So thank you so much for that. CSR, ISR is just something that is dear to my heart. Okay. Now that we've talked about GE, now tell us, I guess maybe walk us through how you ended up in Nigeria, GE. So like I in the introduction, I said, back in 2009, shortly after your MBA, and I think you got your bachelor's in civil engineering from Temple University, and I'll let you take us through all that. But then shortly after that, you decided to relocate to Nigeria. So was there a catalyst, or were you being opportunistic, or is it always something you knew you always wanted to do?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question, and it's one that I always find the opportunity to share to a lot of people that I talk with and everything. I don't think there is a silver bullet to the decision. Nigeria has always been home. I only moved to the US when I was, I'll say, pretty mature. I moved to the US when I was in my, I'll say, mid-20s. I'll put it that way. So most of my foundation had been in Nigeria. I had a solid network with regards to going to secondary school. I started university in Nigeria before I moved to the US. So, I mean, my heart had always been there. And coming to the US for me was an opportunity to come, be around, learn from a structured environment, but then one day find an opportunity that I'll be able to go back home and do something. So it had always been a passion
at the back of your mind.
At the back of my mind. But how it happened, that decision for it to happen, I think it's always interesting to appreciate just the irony of life. And I think what I tell people is everything that happens in life, they're all connected, and if you do have a plan, sometimes when opportunities come, your mind kind of drives you towards that direction to kind of connect all the dots towards this bigger plan that you have. And again, I guess my decision, it started just from like business school, right? So in business school, I had interviewed with GE. It was a very interesting interview. I mean, I learned about GE just like most people who had gone to business school. It was basically every case study that we had on strategy.
Study. I mean, if you don't have GE as a case study, like you've not, which school have you gone to? Do you understand?
Yeah. And that was my passion with GE, because I was intrigued around how this large company was able to go out and train so many inspiring leaders doing really phenomenal work, and I got attracted to GE as a company. And I got recruited while I was in business school. And one of the things that I always had behind my mind was, look, you know what, it'll be really great to work with a company like GE in Nigeria. At that time, they didn't have a strong footing in Nigeria. I think they had been working through third parties and distributors and all of that. And in my first year, when I got recruited into one of our it's called an Experience Commercial Leadership Program. It's like an accelerator program for leaders within the company that we kind of used to do back in the day and push people into commercial functions to help drive the expansion of growth within GE. I had the opportunity of meeting with my CEO. And again, I was a few months into the company, but I was very passionate. I had just drank the Kool-Aid coming out of business school. I thought I was going to change the world. And in this meeting, I was telling him about just my home country, Nigeria. I was telling him about the power situation and how, there was just so much that we could do, a company like GE. At that time, I was working with the transportation business. And I talked about how we had more broad railways and just how I thought, look, giving the opportunity, GE in Nigeria working with the government, there are just so many things on the infrastructure space that we could do.
It just seemed like a no-brainer.
It was a normal conversation from a very enthused young individual, but it didn't mean much, but I was just talking about it. And because I was so passionate about it, I guess as I was speaking, you could feel the passion. About a month later, my vice president of sales had reached out to me and they were like, look, you know what? The CEO has been talking about this Nigerian guy who's been raving about, GE and Nigeria. there's an opportunity where they would like to go and explore a commercial engagement with the government of Nigeria. I think the government was trying to look at purchasing some locomotive trains.
Right.
And he was like, look, you're new in the company. I know you're very fresh. Would you want to try to take a chance and go see if you can make something out of it, spend a year there, and then we'll bring you back to the US? And I was like, look, you know what, sure. You know, I mean, like, what's the worst that can happen? And
Like, what's the
they were
worst, you know?
laughing.
Yeah.
And they said, look, you know, worst case scenario, you go there in a year. If it doesn't work, we'll bring you back. And I'm like, okay, cool. And this is 15 years afterwards, you know. I moved back. It was a great opportunity. Again, you know, there's something about working within a space that you're really passionate about. I mean, it's similar job work I was doing in the US, but because it was in Nigeria, like I could see the impact of one train, the people that it'll move, the freight that it'll move, just the way that it will move things. There was so much passion in the way that I was able to execute that project that not only did I solve the issues that we were trying to do with the expansion into Nigeria, my role got expanded. I started looking after our business across West Africa and East Africa, and at some point all of Sub-Saharan Africa. And it was just a breath of fresh air to be able to be given such a huge responsibility and be able to execute on it. So it was one thing to be given the opportunity, but it was another thing to be able to execute on it. And I've been very grateful for that. What I tell people is it was nice to have the idea and the passion, but it was more important for me to execute when that opportunity came. And like I tell people, you know, never take anything for granted. You know, if there's something you really feel passionate about and you want, you know, talk about it. You're never really sure.
Right?
Who's going to listen? You're not going to be sure what opportunities exist. And that was my story. You know, my story was being very open and being very passionate about something that I thought and I believed would be a great fit, both for the company and for my country. And when the opportunity came, I knocked it out the park, you know. So I think there is there's no such thing as luck. It's you being prepared when the opportunity comes and being able to step into it. And that was my story, you know?
Wow, and being open to it. Now, I probably will have some viewers watching and saying, okay, yeah, it's all fine and good, you know, Mr. Mijindadi, the opportunity arose and you jumped at it. Now, what about those of us who the opportunity really isn't there, but we would like to, relocate back to Nigeria? Maybe not now, I don't know, but we would like to relocate back to Nigeria to make something, you know, of us, because it's a two-way thing, right? It's both developing yourself as an individual, but then also impacting, you know, Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
So what two things would you have to say to such people who are contemplating the decision to move back to Nigeria? Now, not immediately, maybe 2 years down the road or so, but they're harboring that thought. So what would you say to them?
Yeah, so I think I'll be very honest. For the people who would have those sort of skeptical views, it is founded. You know, it's not easy making a big transition back home, especially in the way that the country is today. You know, there is not a lot of things that work, but there are a lot of things that have the potential to work, you know. And as much as I share my story, I'm not sharing it with any illusion that it's the same playing field for everyone. It worked for me.
One of my business professors says, so you're not looking through, you know, rose-colored
No. I mean, it's been a rodeo. What I will say is, it's going to mean a different transition for everyone. And for people who are passionate about it, I will say, take the time and do your diligence. You know, there are a lot of opportunities back home, I will say that, but there is also a lot of risk. And it's the same thing across the board. It's the same thing in the US, you know, a lot of opportunities, a lot of risk. I will say, be very patient and make sure you do your diligence before you make your decisions. A lot of people talk a good game around, oh, look, you know what, I'm making a lot of money and everything, but it's all relative, you know, and it's not everything that people talk about that everyone will be willing to do, you know. So take the time and do your diligence. ensure that the things that you are either trying to venture in, you've at least covered the bases with regards to how sustainable they are and whether it's the right time for you. You know, something may be the best thing for you, might not necessarily be the right time. So diligence will be the most important thing to do. That would be the number one for me. And then the second thing about it is, you know, I always say it's great to have multiple plans and options and you know, like have alternatives. I wouldn't throw all my eggs in one basket and move. There are several people I know who have started by either setting up a small venture back home, even though they're still domiciled in the US. And then gradually they start by taking a trip. It could be a trip a year.
Maybe the shuttle, right?
You know, so because you want to try to ease into it, you know, and try to make sure that, okay, at least whatever it is that you've started or whatever venture it is somebody is pitching to you, you've kind of eased yourself into it. So with the right level of diligence and some, I'll say, cautious optimism with regards to the transition, those would, for me, would be the two most important things. And even though we all have different stories, I think at the end of the day, those two things kind of cut across the board. That would be my advice for most people who are thinking about it. And to be honest with you, it is home. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think there's going to be a rosy ride, but for people who are able to successfully make that transition, it definitely is worthwhile, both from an impact standpoint to what it is that you could bring to the community, but also an impact standpoint on what it is that the opportunity may mean to you commercially or financially. You know, I mean, there's several industries over the years that have completely, you know, picked up. You know, I remember back in the day while I was still in the US.
Or being disrupted. Right?
Yep. The banking sector. The banking sector happened about the time we were in the US and people were moving. That all happened within our lifetime. The telecom sector picked up completely within our lifetime. Over the last, I'll say 5 to 10 years, you know, you've seen the entertainment industry, both on the movies and music, pick up. And right now, over the last, I'll say 2 to 5 years, you know, it's been the tech industry. So there are a lot of things happening. There are a lot of people who are getting involved and doing things. Don't be too shy. Don't be too scared. You know, sometimes the only way you're going to find out is if you find out, you know, but like I said, take the time, do your diligence, make sure that you have some sort of optionality and ease transition as you're making these decisions, and best of luck with it. You know, it's a beautiful experience to be able to successfully make that transition when you decide to.
Indeed, it is home. Like I say, you know, it is home. Nothing trumps that. Yeah. Okay. What's the best advice you've ever received? And it could be either, you know, personally or in your professional life.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's the same thing across both of them. So I was that kid growing up who always wanted to conquer the world. I always thought, you know, I needed to have everything done at the particular time. I wanted everything, you know, at 15, I wanted to be a billionaire and all of that stuff. And I remember my dad called me one day and he just told me, look, Mohammed, you know, settle down, take the time to enjoy your growth. You know, you're in school, enjoy being a student because you're not always going to be a student. You know, I think back in the day, I used to run nightclubs and stuff. So all I was trying to do was find one hustler, you know, and he's like, look, take the time and enjoy being in school. You know, the nightclub thing happened after my dad passed, but before that, it was more me in secondary school with friends just trying to do things. And he's like, just, you know, take the time, enjoy the experience, learn from the experience, and grow naturally. That's kind of the way that he put it. And even though it depends in the context in which you understand that, it's something that has always stuck to me. Many times you get frustrated where you feel you're supposed to be at a certain place or
things are not moving fast enough.
The way that you want, you know. So I always hold myself back to remember that there is a lesson and a reason in every experience. You know, for everything that happens, good, bad, or indifferent, I use it as an opportunity to learn, okay, what is it that I'm supposed to learn in this? You know, if something didn't work, this is the way it's supposed to be. If something seems like it's a good thing, I try to kind of understand what is it that I did right, what could I improve on? And I've just tried to embrace the experiences that I've had in life, you know, and even though it's not verbatim, the advice that was given, I've learned to use that advice at different times to just grow and embrace the experiences that I have experienced all through my life. And it's made and shaped who I am as an individual, both personally and professionally. And that's something that I always tell people. Again, if I look at it, just thinking about this job that I got this job. So something that I didn't mention to you was the interview that got me into GE.
Okay.
You know, so I've been a very passionate showbiz person growing up. You know, I always used to be into music production. At some point, I used to actually rap. I used to run nightclubs.
You rap? Are you serious? Maybe I should explore that on this show. At that time.
So there's a different side to me. So those were the things that used to bring out the spark in me. You know, the entertainment industry, that whole having to plan an event, throw a show. I was very passionate about it. And when I was having my interview for this particular, my first interview when I was joining GE for this Experience Commercial Leadership Program, you know, we had an interview for about 45 minutes, and the interviewer basically asked me a question. You know, I mean, like everyone, you know, I was talking about my engineering background and how I did this. It just seemed kind of lukewarm. And at the end of the interview, she asked and said, look, is there anything that you really enjoy doing outside of work, something that you're really passionate about, you know? And I paused for a while because the question kind of just hit, and it almost seemed like,
I'm sure you thought about it. You're like, hey, this could go two ways. Oh, if I dude, show this other side to me,
it was neither here. It was neither here nor there. And to be honest with you, I asked her and I said, look, does this have to be a professional example? And she said, no, just something that, you know, you could see she was struggling to try to get to me. Who is Mohammed?
This person, yeah.
And I told her, look, you know what? Okay, so I run nightclubs. And she's like, tell me about it, you know? And I started talking about just my experience, even when I was way back in Nigeria with my friends, you know, in a university environment, not a lot of things happening. We went around, talked to a lot of friends. We found out that there was a niche where people would really like an avenue where they could let loose. You know, we did a lot of diligence, went around and carried out surveys, you know, selected a name, negotiated a venue that we were going to run these nightclubs, had promotions, you know, started running these nightclubs, we're making money,
do all that,
understand how the money was working. We had a merger with a competition at some point, you know, we started growing bigger, you know, and the second I got done, she was like, look, I want to hire you. And
no, because you know what you just proved to her with that you can run a business.
That is exactly what she said. And you know, the funny thing about it is, in the heat of the moment, I have never for one day connected any of those things, you know. And the second she said it and she was playing back what it is that I said, for the first time in my life, I was like, damn, you know, I had never really understood how what we thought was a hobby of just, you know, doing stuff was actually experience in running an entire business, from prospecting to executing to marketing to merging. And that was it until this very day. Every time she sees me, she's like, oh, Mohammed, the club, you know? So the lessons for me in that was, and I started telling people, I was like, never take for granted every experience that you've had, you know, because every experience has something that allows you to build on to the next thing, you know? And for me, it was a nightclub that I really didn't expect it to be experienced, but managing people and doing all of those things, I'm just doing the exact same thing. It's just a different product. Instead of entertainment, today I'm selling turbines. But it's the same basic skill. It builds the same confidence, and never underestimate the experiences that you pick along the way, and don't be too shy to speak about them, you know? And I do that every time I'm interviewing right now. I ask the same question, you know, tell me about something that you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be work, because you will be amazed at how effective and how great people are if they put everything that they've been exposed to into context. You know, it's the sum of the whole part, not just individual experiences. So I had to share that because I just remembered that as we're speaking right now.
This is fantastic, and I'm glad you shared it, because one key takeaway for me, right, an overarching, I heard the story, you know, and for me, an overarching advice or key takeaway is be yourself.
Yep.
Right? Be yourself, be willing to toot your own horn, express yourself, you know, because no one's going to do it for you. And just be authentic. Be authentic. Yeah. Oh, no, this is fantastic. Thanks for sharing. I would never have thought. You rap, I'll bring you back. You must rap.
No, forget I said that. That was it was a prompt to the next.
Oh my goodness, Mohammed, this has been so fantastic. I feel like I've learned a lot about you, and I'm sure my viewers will really appreciate your story. But before we go, one last trivia question.
Oh,
Okay, gotta do it. I have to do the trivia questions.
All right.
Because that one that you said about Bruce Lee and you said I should be flogged. Maybe not
You're
you, but
still having heartaches on that one.
in uncertain times I should be flogged. Okay. This one I think may be a bit hard. Now, we all grew up in the era of, I guess, growing up, right? Back in Nigeria. Now, if Voltron, you know Voltron now, Defender of the Universe.
Oh, yes, the one with the kid and everybody is
Yeah.
from feet and legs.
Yes, and I from the head. Okay, if Voltron, so Defender of the Universe, so, and Optimus Prime from Transformers were to fight.
Iyobosa.
What?
It's like you've decided today to just be blaspheming up. Is it? It's Optimus Prime. Now? Optimus Prime is who you like. Come on now. Like. All right. So I know it's trivia. I will definitely go with Optimus Prime for it's Optimus Prime. Like, come on now. You know?
What? You say wait. I'm not understanding you. Or maybe I'm not hearing correctly. You say Optimus Prime.
I would go.
Defender of the Universe.
Until leave Optimus Prime. The Defender of the Universe. Isn't that the same kids who were there doing this, with the lions and dinosaurs and please those cartoons? We're talking about the leader of the Autobots. Like, what is wrong with you?
Wow.
Yeah, I will have to go with Optimus. So I'm a Transformer dude. I mean, I grew up on Voltron also. I think most of us did. Actually, that's like giving away our age, But most of us grew up on that. The other one that I remember back in the day was something called Terrahawks.
Yes.
It was like some low budget Voltron-ish type of thing.
So fake. Like now, I watched it the other day. I pulled it up. Yeah. And I just sat there. I was like, so to think we actually enjoyed the show.
Dude, that was it back in the day. But I think what's helped.
The other one, Super Ted.
Which one is that?
Super Ted. Remember?
No, I don't. I remember. No, but Super Ted wasn't it wasn't one of those Transformer type things.
It was the teddy. No, it wasn't a Transformer. It was a teddy bear with Super Ted, and then But
but Terrahawks. I think Terrahawks was one of those sort of superhero type of things. But I think the great thing about the Transformer story is in recent times the way they've been able to bring it back. I think it's giving it a better appreciation. So maybe I'm also biased just because in recent times it's kind of been rebirth, but Optimus Prime.
No, I think you're biased. Voltron, Defender of the Universe. No one can beat. That's my story. I'm taking to it.
All right, so we will agree to disagree on this one.
Mohammed, no more trivia for you because it just seems like I should be flogged every time, But
yes, you need to be before you now ask me. Between Buhari and somebody else, who do I pick?
No, that one. Mohammed, it's been so much. I've had a blast with you on this show. It's been really fantastic. Just you sitting there telling us your story, and congratulations on being G in Nigeria. It is no easy feat, but just from hearing you speak, I think everyone can appreciate how, we can kind of see how he got there. Of course, I would even hire him to be G in Nigeria, president of G in Nigeria. So thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it.
No, thank you, Iyobosa. And again, thanks to the audience. Like I said, look, you know what? Nigeria is home for people who are thinking about it. I know it's a difficult time, and such sorts of decisions may also be difficult if you're thinking about transitioning, but definitely get involved. Find things that you can at least connect yourself back home. There's so many projects, there's so many things, even if it's just opinions. It's our home. There's nobody else who's going to do it. So, find the time, get involved, and wishing everyone the best. Thank you so much for having me on the show. This was fun.
Thank you. So viewers, there you have it. I can't even add anything more to what he says. I think the bottom line that I hear is Nigeria is our home. It is our Nigeria. This is our Nigeria. No one else but Nigerians can see it flourish and take it to the next level. So, and it doesn't matter, you don't literally or physically have to be in Nigeria like Mo, who's doing, impacting his environment or community positively. You can also do the same from the diaspora, right? You can do your own little bit by bit, it would all come together to form this mighty wave of flourishness. I've just termed that word, okay? Just flourishness. So nice. Viewers, until the next time. And also don't forget, another thing that I heard Mo say, or maybe that I deduced from what he said was, be your authentic self, right? Opportunities come knocking, but you also have to be positioned to grab the bull by the horns, right? Be your authentic self. You are the only one who can sell yourself. No one else can do it. Just as us Nigerians are the only ones who can, make Nigeria rise. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I have had a blast. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new on it. If you're a returning viewer, thank you. It shows that you like what you see, or you like what you hear. Don't forget to share and like, share the link in the goodness of Conversations with Iyobosa. We're always going to be having such useful conversations where we highlight and showcase upstanding Nigerians all over the world. So until the next time on Conversations with Iyobosa, I say you have a super sparkly day and have a fantastic one. Bye now.